In 2020, presidential election was a pivotal moment in American history, not only because it marked a change in leadership, but also because it exposed the deep divisions within the country. After losing the election, President Donald Trump struggled to come to terms with his defeat. His loss wasn't just about the White House. It was a blow to his ego, his power, and his influence. In a world where he was typical of being the center of attention, losing to Joe Biden was more than just a political setback. It became a personal battle. Trump's inability to accept the reality of his defeat led him down a dangerous and reckless path. From the moment the results were clear, Trump claimed, without evidence, that the election had been stolen and that it was illegitimate. His repeated baseless claims of voter fraud and attempts to overturn the results were not only damaging to the integrity of the election process, but also to the very foundations of American democracy. But for Trump, this loss wasn't just about politics, it was about power, and he couldn't let go of it. In the wake of his defeat, Trump's anger seemed to fuel his next dramatic move, encouraging Russian President Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine. At first glance, this might seem like an unlikely connection. But watch Trump's thoughts.
No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
If you take a closer look, it's clear that Trump's motivations weren't rooted in any genuine concern for global politics or the welfare of Ukraine. Instead, his actions were driven by revenge, a desire to make Biden's presidency as difficult as possible. Trump believed he could weaken Biden's position and create chaos on the world stage. Trump's support of Putin's actions was an obvious attempt to make Biden's foreign policy harder to navigate. By encouraging the Russian invasion, Trump hoped to create a crisis that would distract from Biden's agenda and create disturbance during his first years in office. Trump knew that if the United States had to divert resources and attention to a military conflict in Ukraine, after securing a second term in office, Trump underwent a startling 180-degree shift in his policies and rhetoric. During his first term, he seemed to at least pay lip service to the concerns of his supporters. However, in his second term, Trump completely abandoned them. It begs the question, does Trump really care about his supporters, or was it all about the power for him? His about-face leaves many wondering whether his followers were ever more than pawns in a bigger political game. What Trump didn't expect, however, Trump didn't anticipate, was that the war in Ukraine would drag on for so long that he had to deal with it. Instead, the prolonged conflict placed Trump in a difficult position. Fact, Trump often claims that if he had been president in 2020, there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine. This statement suggests he sees himself as connected to the ongoing conflict, implying his influence or actions could have impacted the situation. Another fact. Before the presidential election, Trump believed he could end the war in 24 hours, thinking he still held strong global influence. However, Putin's determination proved otherwise. Despite heavy losses and damaged infrastructure, Putin remains relentless, desperate to win and avoid looking like a loser. Trump had no way out. By supporting Putin's invasion, Trump became trapped. He decides to help to end his bloody deal. So, what is Trump doing to help Putin to win the war? Trump is using his influence to weaken support for Ukraine and the global economy. Canada has been a strong supporter of Ukraine in its war against Russia. This support is believed to be one of the reasons why Trump may want to harm Canada's economy. By doing so, Trump could undermine a key ally of Ukraine and potentially weaken the global stance against Russia. However, targeting Canada's economy would not come without consequences. Since the United States and Canada are closely connected through trade and commerce, any economic harm to Canada would also impact American businesses, workers, and consumers. Despite this, Trump appears willing to take that risk, prioritizing political motives over economic stability. Another one of the troubling moves is the new tariffs that Trump has imposed on Europe too. These tariffs are designed to hit the European economy hard, causing economic strain that could fuel resentment and reduce support for Ukraine. Trump's hope is that by creating chaos in the global economy, he can weaken the alliances that are. Trump's actions have left the nation in a state of constant tension, with deep political divisions and an international crisis that continues to unfold. In the end, Trump's legacy will likely be defined not by his policies but by his actions after losing power. His encouragement of international conflict and his bitterness toward his political opponents will leave a mark on history. It's a reminder that when power is lost, some people will stop at nothing, no matter the cost, to try to regain it. Today, one of the biggest questions is, who has the cards? Trump's actions seem to point to the fact that, despite being the former president, he may now be at the mercy of Putin, whose influence over him grows with each passing day. The cards may no longer be in Trump's hands, but rather, they lie in the hands of the Russian president, who continues to pull the strings behind the scenes. Some see him as a bold leader who puts America first, while others view him as a controversial figure surrounded by scandals. From his economic policies and immigration stances to his legal troubles and outspoken personality, Trump's legacy sparks debate across the nation.
This record was created by analyzing the President Donald Trump's first 50 days of second presidency actions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.